Welcome to Lee Anderson's Real World. I'm Lee Anderson, the Reform UK Member of Parliament for Ashfield, and joining me tonight is political commentator Emma Wolfe, and he's back on this show. Matthew Laza, the former Labour advisor and well-known social outcast. Welcome to the show, Matthew.
You've left me. What would you say?
Listen. You've started problems already before this show was recorded. We know that, don't we? But we're not going to that, and he's looking very, very guilty. Look, we've got a story breaking this week, guys. The NHS story again. The John Paget Hospital in Great Yarmouth have decided to tell their staff that they can't describe babies as boys or girls. I mean, when will this madness end, Emma?
When will this madness, this woke nonsense end? Look, if someone has true gender dysphoria, as a teenager, as a young person, as an adult, that should be taken seriously. True gender dysphoria, where you genuinely, don't know whether you're male or female, or genuinely feel you've been born into the wrong body, of course that needs to be taken seriously. It is distressing, and you can support people. You do not need to introduce this kind of stuff when a baby is born. Okay, that is not necessary. It's actually, I would call it akin to child abuse. There are so many things the NHS need to focus on. So many things. Cancer, obesity, the list is endless, in fact. And the idea that we need to introduce this kind of woke nonsense when children are born, when you should be celebrating the fact that you have a healthy baby girl or baby boy. You couldn't make this up.
You know what, Matthew? Over the past couple of months, I've had a few debates, Westminster Hall debates in Parliament. The one was on baby loss. I think 1 in 5 baby losses in the UK are preventable. I did a sepsis awareness debate just this week in Westminster Hall, where we lose 50,000 people a year to sepsis. A lot of that is preventable as well. Isn't it about time that the NHS concentrated on these important issues rather than this woke nonsense?
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is the NHS, local NHS managers meaning well, but going too far.
Meaning well?
Well, yes, because they want what they want to do is be inclusive of trans and gender questioning people. But this may surprise you, Lee. I think it is ridiculously over the top, and in fact, I think it won't happen for very long, because I think that Wes Streeting has made clear that the examples like this we've seen before are not on. What I find difficult about this is, I mean, viewers may not sort of be too familiar with how the terminology works. It's the assigned female at birth and assigned male at birth. I never quite understand, because nobody is assigned a gender at birth. There are clearly physical distinctions between the sexes. So therefore, it seems to me you're male at birth or female at birth, i.e. a boy or a girl. So I think there shouldn't be a problem. It's right that the NHS wants to support trans people. It's daft if it gets to the stage of when they're trying to impose something, because mums and dads are still going to call their boys and girls boys and girls.
Well, you'd hope so.
Well, you'd hope so. I have a very close friend who is bringing up her child as gender neutral. And as I've said, I think that is akin to child abuse. This is a decision. I mean, Matthew, you just referred to newborn babies as being inclusive of trans. These are newborn babies. We don't need to be inclusive of trans.
No, I meant the NHS being inclusive generally. I agree on newborn babies.
But these are newborn babies. And as you say, the baby loss, the statistics in this country are shocking. Yeah. We shouldn't be losing newborns, and that's what maternity services should be focusing on.
You know what?
It's not about assigning a gender. Yeah. In very, very rare cases, and I think it's 0. something percent, you will have babies and they're indeterminate sex characteristics. But doctors deal with that in a sensitive way.
But as I said,
they deal with that.
At conference a few weeks back, let boys be boys, let girls be girls.
Absolutely.
You know what? They will grow up, they will develop, they'll explore, they'll make mistakes, they'll discover who they are. And in the vast majority of cases, Matthew, when they get to adulthood, they'll have figured it out.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, and that's why I think it's right that we have support in place for teenagers who are questioning their gender, etc. That's why I think that it is a bit daft for the NHS to be making a fuss, as you both quite rightly say, when there are other priorities in maternity services. Because clearly, what you need to make sure is that the healthcare is given is appropriate for the physical gender that somebody is born into, so that boys and girls are getting the healthcare.
But why is it?
And that's the other thing. But that Matthew actually, for once, raises a really good point.
Yeah, it is.
It is actually really important within healthcare services that people are clear about gender. Yeah. Because when women aren't given appropriate female care, and when men are not given appropriate male care, like women need to understand about reproductive systems and things going wrong, men need to be given the message about prostate cancer, for example. It needs to be very gender specific. We don't need to blur the boundaries, and we don't need to talk about,
But it doesn't help. It doesn't help, Emma. Matthew, it doesn't help when we've got politicians in this country cannot explain what a man or a woman is.
Exactly.
A woman can have a penis. It's nonsense, surely.
Well, I think taking the debate away from the issue of children, clearly, newborn children, clearly there are trans people. There have always been people who question their gender identity, and we should support people who are doing so. But I think it's important that people get the a trans woman can have a penis, but clearly
I can't believe we're going down this route.
It's early doors. He's not.
He's already saying
not drunk yet.
Sorry, what are we saying now? Trans women can have penises.
Is that true, Matthew?
Well, somebody who is living as a woman who has got a gender recognition certificate as a woman may still have a penis. But clearly, biological women don't have penises.
Someone who is living as a woman, I accept anyone for their sexuality.
They can wear
whatever clothes they like. They can love who they want.
Yeah.
They can sleep with who they want. But can we not go down the route of a woman can have a penis?
This is where the madness starts, Matthew, with statements like that. I'm sorry, my friend. It's absolutely bonkers.
I think, look, I'm absolutely clear we need to protect single-sex spaces, and so is the government. I'm absolutely clear that we need to put in place the caste review, because what was going on at the Tavistock was clearly not right. And I'm absolutely clear that we don't want to go down the route of gender self-ID, where people just decide what their gender is. But I do think we need to have support people, and when they've got the gender recognition certificate, which was there throughout 14 years of Tory government as well as the previous Labour government, if people change their gender legally under the law,
I'm a little bit uncomfortable with some 6'5" bloke in a dress, dodgy wig, lipstick, feet like barges, walking into a dressing room with women and young girls there.
That's extremely frightening. As a woman, I'm the only woman in this room. It's an extremely frightening idea. As I say, we can accept, we can be tolerant. We are a tolerant people in this country. And we've always, people can live exactly as they want. But I just think this thing about actually trying to say, I've changed my gender. Gender is different. Gender is different.
How often can you change your gender in a week? It's ridiculous, Matthew.
You can't legally change your gender in a week. It takes much longer than that, because you have to have the medical care. You have to have lived in your gender for so long. So absolutely, I think it would be daft if people can. If people can, that's why I don't believe, and that's why the Labour government doesn't believe in gender self-ID, which the SNP tried to do in Scotland, and that's why we rejected it for England and Wales, and will continue to
but are you saying
ensure that
people
Scotland
are
can't do
actually
it.
changing their gender?
Let me just ask you a question. You spoke about your friend with a child. I don't know how old the child is, but you think for some of these woke people, these out-of-touch people, it's actually a fashion accessory to have a kid that's trans? It
really is, Lee, and it makes me so uncomfortable. A 4-year-old male child, that's what he is being brought up as a they. And also, I think it is an adult experiment. I think it's an adult, trendy, fashionable thing to do to your child. And I think it's deeply, deeply unfair on a child. I think it's abusive because the child then doesn't start with any kind of identity. Children aren't born into this world trans. Children are born as little boys or little girls.
And they'll figure it out.
They'll figure it out. They can be whatever they want to be later on. Yeah. But these are adult decisions. We don't need to impose this stuff on newborn babies.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the key thing, is that this is adult decisions. Look, if people want to say they're gender neutral, if they want to use they, them pronouns as adults, I don't have a problem with that, as long as for things like ensuring that they receive the right healthcare, be it prostate or breast cancer checks, I want to make sure that that legally and that systematically they're responded to. Matthew, it's about adults making choices.
But Matthew, look at how we're even struggling with these complicated, weird concepts that are very, very recent. These actually weird new concepts. How confusing is that if you're a child?
Yeah.
I've got a 4-year-old at school, and when they start telling them about, that is very, very confusing for young children.
When did we start talking about pronouns, Emma? When did this nonsense start?
Anyone who says to me that they want to tell me their pronouns, I'm sorry, I'm already halfway out the door.
Yeah, Matthew.
Well, I think it's come in over the last few years, and I think the way it's done has made a lot of people feel uncomfortable. And I think the key thing is it needs to be about adults making choices about their own lives. Obviously, as people are going into adulthood, they need support, but it's not about imposing this on children.
Okay, Emma, do you think we'll ever go back to normal?
I hope that one day we'll look back on this kind of 5 years, 10 years, this decade of madness.
Yeah.
And just shake our heads and say, look, let's just get back to being really open and tolerant of anybody.
Yeah.
No matter how they want to live their lives, as long as they're kind. But we don't need to pretend that black is white and white is black and black is grey. I mean, we're just blurring the boundaries all over the place.
Yeah.
It's so confusing. And it makes people laugh at it. When it gets this ridiculous, you just have to laugh.
Matthew, are we going to go back to normal?
Well, I don't know what you mean by normal. I think we don't want to go back to an age where, homosexuality was illegal, where transgender people didn't have a way to change their identity.
We don't need to paint rainbows all over the
as
crossings
adults.
on our streets.
But I do think
to support gay and lesbian people.
Yeah.
But I do think that some of the more extreme people, frankly, on either side of the debate, need to calm down.
But you're always going to have extreme people in society, Matthew. I mean, I think we are a tolerant, welcoming society, and we're not bothered whether you're black, white, pink, brown, whether you're gay. Nobody's interested. You've got this minority of lunatics who look for a minority group,
and you know what?
And tell them they're persecuted.
And it's a minority of lunatics who are obsessed with other people's sexual habits and other people's genitals. I don't care, frankly, what you have in your underwear. As long as you're a good person, I don't care. But don't tell me that you're a trans woman with a penis. I think we're getting way beyond common sense.
We're talking about common sense. Let's have the last word from our friend Matthew Laza.
Yeah, so I think that the age of pronouns on name badges at the bank may not last that long, but I hope we continue to have a supporting society for trans people and people questioning their gender.
You know what, guys? I just wish we could go back to being normal and not putting people into the different sections of society, categorising people.
Everybody.
Labels on people. It's just let people be people. Let children be children. Like I said before, when they get with the right support and love from proper parents and their school teachers, in the end, they'll figure it out.
You've got to tell a child, you're not a cat, you're a child.
Exactly. Look, that's a brilliant debate with our friend Matthew and Emma.